is to answer a question about energy in terms of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and this kind of illness. Mitochondrial disease, and it does specifically relate in this case to EDS and mito, because it's sort of a certain type of fatigue that I'm going to describe. People with autoimmune disorders have fatigue also. Their immune systems are like attacking them, and so it sucks their energy. And we have a similar thing where our systems are constantly under attack because our collagen is fragile, soft, and weaker than normal. But I'm going to read out this question. There's one symptom I have every now and then depending on how I treat myself. I used to get it a lot when I was still working part-time. So she's not even able to work anymore, which is common with us, unfortunately. We lack energy to the degree of people with like muscular dystrophy and stuff like that because it's collagen dystrophy. So it's not the same, but similar in some ways. I was wondering if maybe you might know what this is. What happens is whenever I would push myself over the limits of my capacity, I would get exhausted. That next day or for the 2 to 3 days afterwards, I would have difficulty breathing, and while standing up, I was too exhausted to do both. When I would lie down, it would get better, but it just I couldn't stand even almost to go to the bathroom. Now, the doctors I've talked to have said that it's anxiety brought on by exhaustion, but I'm not sure I would agree. I've got to tell her right now that she needs to get a blood pressure monitor. It sounds like you're having orthostatic intolerance. So, that sounds to me like a crash. Like we use cellular energy to hold ourselves together. Here's what I wrote here. It said, drink lots of water and take electrolytes and salt. When somebody with Ehlers-Danlos has a busy day or two, it causes a crash. Basically, we use so much of our energy to hold ourselves together, and this can get worse with age or get worse as the EDS gets worse, because EDS progresses, and everybody's different how the disease progresses and to what, at what rate and how severely. When you crash, you're super dehydrated. You need lots of water. You need salt. The salt levels drop. That's why I get saline infusions once a week. I'm now getting saline infusions once a week, and it's helping with my numbers. And I don't know, like with how sick I've been with this gut issue, like, and how that's sucking my energy. I don't know if I would even be able to do anything if I wasn't getting those infusions. It allows me to do something. I'm still pretty compromised, but my numbers are more stable. Orthostatic intolerance is when you stand up and your blood pressure drops. It pulls down to your feet. POTS is when the heart rate also goes up and it causes tachycardia. So orthostatic intolerance and POTS are both forms of dysautonomia, and they're caused by the autonomic nervous system, which with EDS eventually gets exhausted, especially as we get older. But unfortunately, some kids have POTS, and there's so many different reasons for autonomic stuff too, though. The more energy our bodies are having to take up, the more we're going to have dysautonomia. Like, immune system issues are another big part of EDS, and if we're fighting infections like chronically, which we often do because we can't seem to shake a lot of infections, that can contribute to developing dysautonomia. Spinal cord injury and compressions and subluxations contribute to dysautonomia. And then on top of that, there's just the energy. We honestly need to drink tons of water. We burn water like athletes. We need electrolytes like we're athletes. And why is that? Well, I think it's because we have to use our muscles to hold ourselves together. Our collagen, like, is very, my collagen is very soft, And, down here you can see my collagen is very soft and weak. But you can also see that I have some interesting muscle tone. You can see my veins too. But because I have to have some muscle tone to hold. Oh, I should have done that. That kind of hurt. To hold myself together and to move around. So you know how like athletes go training and then they bring Gatorade with them and tons of water and stuff. So it's kind of like our bodies are doing that, being athletic just from being up and about and using energy. So that's absolutely cellular and mitochondrial, I think, in some way, in a weird way. They do think that EDS is a form of mitochondrial disorder. Um, but anyway, we have this weird thing, and doctors just don't. A lot of doctors are baffled by it, but we suck water, and um, some of us have it so severely that we have to either do infusions like I do at the hospital, or we have some of us even have PICC lines. So we have a line, and we infuse ourselves daily. I don't have a PICC line. There was talk about me getting a PICC line. PICC line might be in my future at this point, but right now we're just doing the weekly stuff. Sorry to be graphic, but my veins are already getting a little fed up with all the poking, but it helps me. So as somebody with EDS, you're going to crash like that if you push yourself and do a lot. And that's what happens, is that you crash and you need lots and lots of water, because you end up getting, a lot of people forget to drink water in the moments of pushing themselves. I never do anymore. I'm always with my water and my like sea salt and all that, because I'm trying to be preventative. Because if you don't drink enough water while you're exerting, you're going to end up in the negative later, and you're going to be crashing. Either your heart rate will be rapid or lower a bit, and you'll be very lightheaded, and circulation will be because we end up being low blood volume when we get dehydrated like that. Hypovolemic. I'm chronically hypovolemic, which is why I get the infusions. My jugular vein actually showed that. Both the cardiologist and my internist said that. It's very clear. And so we end up like that chronically, as we get worse. And it's hard because we often live in areas of the world where doctors don't get it, and that could be unsafe, because doctors need to understand that some people with EDS get so challenged that they need the infusions. They need the saline IVs. Just like the episode in Grey's Anatomy, remember? And so she probably ended up having to go in for regular saline IVs because she reached a point of her EDS, which had gone undiagnosed, if you remember the episode and you watched it. She'd reached a point where her body was using her water stores and electrolytes and salt for energy. So she had to replenish it. So that's very kind of unique to EDS. And, there's lots of illnesses that cause fatigue, and we can get fatigue for all kinds of reasons. That type of fatigue is specifically to do with the cellular level issue that we have with our collagen, and what our bodies do to overcompensate for that collagen weakness. And I think that as our collagen gets weaker, as we get older, the harder our bodies have to work to overcompensate. So because the brain just knows, I got to hold me together. The brain says, I've got to hold body together. It's just it's not even, it's involuntary. So we're not going to get up and go all over the place and flop everywhere. Our brain is going to know we have to hold, and we just have to hold ourselves together more and with more effort. And yes, it gets very exhausting. It's frustrating. Collagen's in so many parts of your body, right? And that's why EDS affects so much. And I do obviously dream of a cure, just like everyone else does. There's a new nutritional protocol called the Cusack protocol, which is supposed to help strengthen the collagen and revive it. I, I've heard different things from different people. Some people swear by it and say that it really has helped them improve, and other people say it hasn't. So I'm curious, but it's costly, and I'm dealing with this gallbladder gut issue myself right now, so I got to get that dealt with before I look at that. Um, Once that's dealt with, I might look at it. So yes, um, to the lady that asked me the question, be careful not to push yourself too hard. If you are going to push yourself and exert, drink lots of water and put a little bit of sea salt in it preventatively. Um, Take a hydrolyte tab or two preventatively, electrolytes. Coconut water is great if you can tolerate it. It's loaded with potassium and electrolytes. So sort of sip away at that stuff while you're exerting, and that will help, prevent or lessen the crash you're going to have. So, and also too, rather than going and going and going, take little pauses and like lie down for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that kind of thing. That helps with the crash. But ultimately, crashes can be really brutal no matter what we do. Brainstem being compressed like that, that's extra vicious. Some of it's just inevitable. We do what we can and we take it day by day, you know.